Okay guys, let us start the chapter evolution. As you guys can see, this is the notes of evolution. Might seem pretty big, but is very scoring. So let us start. First of all comes introduction, where there are four or seven theories which were proposed in order to support evolution. All the scientists had their own views. Let us see what all of them had to tell. First of all, the introduction of a theory. All of these are known as theory of origin of life. First of all is theory of special creation, which was given by Hebre and Soares. According to this theory, God evolved life, and also it was mentioned that life appeared suddenly. Sudden appearance means there was no change in life, which means that there wasn't an evolution. All the beings which are present now were put together from the beginning. According to cosmic panspermia theory, life. What do you mean by panspermia? Panspermia means the spores which come from outer space. Life came from the earth in the form of units of life called spores. Third one is theory of spontaneous generation, which was given by Greek. Spontaneous, what is the meaning of spontaneous? Spontaneous means self. Life came from decaying and rotting matter. Example, mud and straw. Life came from itself, that is from decaying and rotting matter. And another theory suggests that river Nile gave birth to frog, fishes and crocodile. The third one is theory of biogenesis. Theory of biogenesis was given by Louis Pasteur. According to the meaning of the word biogenesis means life came from pre-existing life. That is what the theory of biogenesis suggests. What Louis Pasteur did was he took two flasks, which does not look like this. It is a swan neck flask. It looks like a swan, so that microbes don't enter that. Only yeast kind of microbe enter it. Because when it is flask shaped, microbes get stuck at a point. Swan shaped flask. First of all, he covered it with the bottle. He covered with it the cap, and he found that no yeast were found in this bottle, where there was a meat in this bottle. And next one, he found that yeast was found in the bottle when he kept it open. Now, what does modern hypothesis or theory of chemical origin of life suggest? It was given by Oparin Haldens. This bracket. Oparin Halden. According to Oparin Halden theory of modern hypothesis of chemical origin of life, life came from pre-existing non-living organic molecules, example RNA and protein. The book which they wrote about this is Origin of Life. Sixth one is chemical evolution in 1953, given by S.L. Miller, in which he mentioned Miller experiment about amino acid. Here you can see Miller experiment, which he mentioned, which I will be speaking after some time. Other molecules which were present in Miller experiment, it's especially based on amino acid, but other molecules which were also present in that is sugar, nitrogenous bases, fats, amino acid, first organic molecule. These were found on earth according to him, and it was found in water, that too in seawater, which is known as hot dilute soup. The seventh one is biological evolution. According to biological evolution, first cellular form of life is biomolecules, RNA, protein, sugar, and large biomolecules developed in ocean. Large biomolecules are protobionts which cannot reproduce. They are macromolecules. Artificial protobionts were in lab. Artificially synthesized protobionts were in lab. One was with membrane coat, and another one was without membrane coat. With membrane coat were known as coacervates by Oparin, named by Oparin. And without membrane coat was called microspheres, which was named by Sidney Fox, scientist. First form of life where protocell contained. Protocell are the single-celled organism, and first living beings were prokaryotic like bacteria. Prokaryotic like bacteria. Bacteria were chemotropic, autotrophic by the process called photosynthesis. And what happens in photosynthesis is that light energy not by chlorophyll at that time is converted to chemical energy. Then appeared blue-green algae, that is cyanobacteria, which release oxygen, and that changed the earth. Then developed the organelles, example mitochondria and nucleus, which fasten metabolism. Okay, let us read some extra points which are not based on NCERT. That is, Charles Darwin traveled in HMS Beagle, gave theory of natural selection. According to this, it talks about reproductive fitness, natural selection. And Alfred Wallace is another scientist who made his research in a place called Malay Archipelago. It is the name of a place where he worked. Now let us discuss about Miller's experiment. See, this is the typical Miller's experiment where he proved that life originated from these chemicals, four chemicals, that is methane, ammonia, water and hydrogen. All these gases are mixed with electrodes and a spark discharge. Lightning is formed. Basically, lightning gives birth to life of single-celled microbes. Here, what in the condenser, water goes in and some kind of water comes out. The remaining water goes in the form of water droplets, and here the water containing organic compounds, example amino acid, nitrogen, base, pigments, fats are found, and other liquids are filled in the trap. The extra liquid filled in the trap also goes in and goes over here, and the water starts boiling with the help of this, and all the water vapors are at the temperature of 800 degrees Celsius over here. And the question might come like this: what is the ratio of methane is to ammonia is to hydrogen? It is 2:1:2. Okay, now this part is to the vacuum pump. It goes to the vacuum. It circulates over here, and the remaining part goes to the vacuum pump. Okay, let us now discuss about embryological support for evolution. It was given by Ernst Haeckel, and it was also disputed by Carl Ernst von Boyer because it is not fully true. According to Ernst Haeckel, embryos of all vertebrates, including human, develop a row of vestigial gill slits. When in the embryo form, they develop a row of vestigial gill slits just behind the heart, but it is functional organ only in fishes and not found in any other adult vertebrates like this. It's functional only in fishes, which suggests that we evolved from all the fishes, all the reptiles. But it is not true, and it was disputed by Carl Ernst von Baer. Next one is fossil support for evolution. See, fossils are formed on layer. First layer, second layer, third layer and fourth layer. Fourth layer is in the deepest layer. Okay. Let us consider first layer to be the deepest layer and fourth layer to be the topmost layer over there. To find the age of the fossil, we need to find the half-life of carbon-14. Okay, in the first layer, you can find the first layer, in a sense the last layer, the deepest layer. Here first layer is the deepest layer and fourth layer is the young layer, the recently formed layer. Okay, the last layer contains the fossils of Triceratops, then the second last contains the fossil of Stegosaurus. You can find this diagram in NCERT. And similarly, Tyrannosaurus. After Tyrannosaurus, Pteranodon, and after that Crocodilion, and Archaeopteryx and Brachiosaurus, even in this order. You can find this diagram in NCERT. Okay, now let us learn about the type of fossils. First of all, petrified fossil, second mould fossil, third is cast fossil, fourth is print fossil, and fifth one is coprolites. Okay, now what is petrified fossil? Petrified fossil is the most common kind of fossil which contains all the hard parts, example bone, teeth and shell. Mould fossil are the external, when the external structure is preserved. No body part is found, only the external diagram of the fossil is found. Now what is cast fossil? Cast fossil is only the mineral deposit. Kind of minerals of plants, coal, all the deposits are found. And what is print fossil? Print fossil is the impression of wings, leaves and stem, all the kind of impression. But it is not similar to mould fossil. Mould fossil is only the external structure and print fossil is kind of impression of the wings, all the impression of the internal structures. And morphosily is the impression of the external structures. And what are coprolites? Coprolites are the preservation of excreta, fecus of organism. Now let us discuss about homologous organs. In case of homologous organs, divergent evolution occurs. What is divergent evolution? First of all, you need to know the meaning of homologous organs. Homologous organs have common origin but different function. Example, limbs of man, cheetah and whale and bat, all of them have the same morphology, have the same anatomy. Looks the same. If you look at the bones of man, cheetah, whale and bat, the limb bone, it looks the same, which means they have the same origin or the same ancestor, but their functions are different. Example, limb of man might be used to pluck something or have food, but limb of cheetah is used for running, and limb of whale is used to swim to water, and limb of bat is used to fly. So they have a common ancestor but have different functions, so it's known as divergent evolution. The other examples are brain of vertebrae. Third one is heart. Heart in all mammals have same position, muscles and chamber, but have different functions because some have 2 chamber, 3 chamber, 4 chamber, and some conduct only oxygenated, deoxygenated kind of blood. Now thorn of bougainville and tendril of cucurbita. Now what are analogous organs? Analogous organs have convergent evolution because they have different origin and anatomy, different ancestry, but have the same function. Example, wings of insect and birds look completely different, have completely different bones, have completely different morphology, have completely different anatomy, and of course are not at all related in any way, but have the same function, that is flight. All of them fly. Flippers of penguin and dolphin, sweet potato, and these are convergent, all of them converge for the same function but have different origin. Sweet potato, root of sweet potato and stem of sweet potato, eye of octopus and mammals. Now let us speak about industrial melanism. See, in industrial melanism you need to know that there are 2 kinds of moth. One is before industrialization and after industrialization. See, before industrialization there were, I hope you know what is industrialization. Industrialization, like there weren't any industries before in that particular place. All the kind of white colored moths go and sit on the tree, and the tree is filled with lichen because there is no pollution. So they weren't seen by predators because they were white in color, and even the tree was white in color, and all the black colored moths were easily caught. But after industrialization, what happened is that because of all the pollutions released in the industry, lichens did not grow in polluted areas, so the tree looked black, and also because of the accumulation of all the kind of sulfur dioxide on the tree, it looked darker. So all the dark colored moths could hide easily, and all the white colored moths were caught. So what happened that in that particular area white color moths weren't found. That is known as industrialization. So what is the scientific name of white colored moth? It's called Biston Betullaria typica. How you can remember is that typica is known as typical because it was the moth which was found in that place typically. And dark colored moth is also known as Biston Betullaria, but it is called Carbonaria because its wings were look like carbonized wings. Okay, the scientists who gave this industrial melanism were Fisher, Frond and Kettle, well, all from England. Okay, let us read some extra points, that is, you need to know about determinism and a stochastic process. Okay, what is determinism? Determination means non-random, and stochastic process is called random. So what do you think evolution is? Evolution is due to anthropogenic action and is random or stochastic process. Okay, what is anthropogenic? Anthropogenic is intentional interference by humans or human activity. It's called anthropogenic. Even human activities like introduction of radiation and all the transgenic kind of thing interferes in the process of evolution. So it is also due to anthropogenic action, not only because of anthropogenic action, it is also due to anthropogenic action and is random or stochastic process. Okay, now what is adaptive radiation? Adaptive radiation, see, when evolution starts in a geographic area, starting from a point and radiates to other geographic area habitat, it's called Adaptive radiation, very easy definition. When evolution starts from a point in a geographic area and radiates to other geographic area. And you need to know about Galapagos Island in that. In Galapagos Island, there were some kind of small birds called Darwin finches, whose beaks were modified according to their feeding habitats, that is common ancestry. All of their beaks were modified. These are known as homologous organs because all of them had common ancestry. But because of their feeding habitat, all of their beaks were modified. Some had peak-like beak and another one had Caesar-like beak, and all of them had different kinds of beak. Okay, next in Australian highlands, there were two kinds of species. One is placental mammals and Australian marsupials. What happened in them is all of them have common ancestry, but have different feeding habits and different functions. Because see, when more than these are homologous species. See, when more than one adaptive radiation occurs in a given geographic area, that is convergent evolution. What happens is that, see, when more than one adaptive radiation appears in a geographic area, convergent evolution takes place. That is, they evolve collectively, they evolve together for the same kind of stuff. That is, in some species both evolve to eat meat, and in some other species both evolve to eat the same kind of food. That is known as convergent evolution for homologous stuff. And you also need to know about parallel evolution. See, in convergent evolution, you might be thinking that they have the same origin but have different function. Here, both eat fish is not a kind of, might be a different function, might be same origin. It might not seem like a different function, but it is actually a different function because both eat meat, but the kind of way they eat meat is different. Okay, now what is parallel evolution? If convergent evolution occurs in closely related species, it is known as parallel evolution. Example, running habits of deer and horse are the same because they evolved parallelly. Running habits of deer and horse are almost the same. Now let us go to, these are placental mammals and Australian marsupials. Placental mole, marsupial mole, anteater, numbat, it's also an anteater, mole, marsupial mole, lemur, spotted curcus, flying squirrel, flying phalanges, bobcat, Tasmanian tiger, cat, wolf, Tasmanian wolf. You'll get all the pictures of this in NCERT textbook. You need not worry about that. And you see it looks almost similar and have evolved these similar functions. Note, if any of the trait can be inherited, it leads to fitness, which is important for evolution. Say, according to Charles Darwin, the trait which can be inherited, the trait which the organism gains in its lifetime should be inherited by that organism. Only that leads to evolution, or else it's useless. The trait which it gains. Now let's discuss about Charles Darwin theory. The Charles Darwin theory deals with theory of natural selection, that is the survival of the fittest. According to Charles Darwin, Charles Darwin published The Origin of Species by the means of natural selection. And Charles Darwin and Alfred Wallace together gave this. Okay, what are the criticisms of Darwin? Darwin was right, but not in always. There are some kind of criticism, disadvantages of Darwin. He did not differentiate between somatic and germline mutations. See, there are two kinds of mutation. One is which occurs morphologically and another only in the germ cells. He told that all the mutations are inherited by each and every progeny by its parent, but only the germline, he considered the variation that will be inherited, but only germline variation can be inherited. Somatic variation cannot be inherited. If a dad has beard and the son is born, he won't be born with a beard. Only when he grows up he'll get the beard. So only germline mutations are inherited, not the somatic mutations. But beard is not kind of mutation, it is a kind of skill. Not skill, trait. Okay, now let us see something about Lamarck. Lamarck was a scientist and he published the book Philosophic Zoologicae. Philosophic Zoologicae, also called Inheritance of Acquired Characters in Organism. The book was also called Inheritance of Acquired Characters by Organism. Here the changes in structure or function of any organ acquired during the lifetime in response to the environment are inherited by its offspring over a period of time. Same thing which I told over there. So what are the four main points of Lamarck? First of all, internal vital force. Yeah, all the internal vital force kind of thing, and effect of environment and its new need, changing oneself according to new needs. Appetency is the process of changing oneself according to new need. Example, if you need you went to a new place to pursue your further education, you need to adopt to the kind of lifestyle of that place. That is known as appetency. It is crucial for evolution. Use and disuse of organs. All the vestigial organs are removed or are just preserved in the body of the organ. Those are called useless organs, which are of no use. Used organs are always inherited by the offsprings. Inheritance of acquired variation. All the variations acquired in the lifetime of the organism are inherited. Now example which Lamarck gave is giraffe. Neck elongation. See, first of all, giraffe did not have a huge neck, and all the trees were short, and it started feeding on the tree. And when the tree started rising from the ground level, even it started rising its neck according to its need. And later, now we can see giraffe having a long neck. It was according to Lamarck theory. It was just an example. Now, what are the criticism of Lamarck? It was given by August Weismann. It is the theory of continuity of germplasm. According to August Weismann, he cut the tail of the rat for 22 generation, but all the tailless rat weren't born. See, when you cut the tail of the rat, even for 22 generation, August Weismann never found a rat born with a cut tail, which means that only the germline mutations are inherited. All the somatic mutations aren't inherited. That was the criticism of Lamarck, continuity of germplasm. Okay, next topic is mechanism of evolution. How evolution takes place. What is its mechanism? The mechanism of evolution was given by Hugo de Vries. It is known as mutation theory of evolution. He did an experiment, conducted an experiment on Ewing prime rose, which is also known as Ornithera lamarckiana. The main features of that experiment are discontinuous, which he found, the result which he found was discontinuous variation and mutation. Mutation is sudden, mutation is random and directionless, which is also known as saltation. A single large mutation is called saltation. This is a term which you need to remember. But according to Darwin, it is small and directional, which is completely wrong. Evolution is random and directionless. And same mutation in a number of offspring. In every number of offspring, there should be same mutation. Mutation must be inheritable. Mutation should be useful. Mutations are selected, and harmful mutations are eliminated. Now let us speak about New Darwinism. What is new? New means new. New Darwinism. What are the new theories of Darwin's? These are the factors affecting new species. Darwinism, new species. Factors are responsible for the formation of new species. One is genetic variation, gene variation, isolation, inheritance, natural selection, and new species formation. Okay. Now let us discuss about Hardy-Weinberg principle. Tall is T and dwarf is T. Let us represent this tall as T and dwarf as small t. You consider this as small t and big T, and also consider this as A and B. And let us give a value for tall as 0.6 and dwarf as 0.4. Now, you know basic mathematics, A plus B the whole square is this one, and you can also represent this as TT plus 2T plus TT. What does Hardy-Weinberg principle say is that it always supports sum. That is, total allele frequency is 1. Sum of total allele frequency. These are the allele frequency. Add that. It should always give the value 1. Okay. Now, see, first of all, if you want to find the allele frequency, that is what is homozygous tall, heterozygous tall, and all of kind of those stuff, you need to follow this equation, that is TT, that's what, whole square gives this, whole square gives T, small t, and 2 into T into T gives heterozygous tall. And you can find all the free allele frequency in the population of 100 people. So now what does Hardy-Weinberg principle gives the result is that in a given population we can find frequency of allele of a gene. Yeah, I told. And allele frequency A given population is stable and constant from generation to generation. It won't change. That is, total genes and alleles remain constant. See, that is known as genetic equilibrium. Total genes are called gene pool, or if I can tell, gene pool and allele remain constant. And when the total genes and alleles remain constant, it's called genetic equilibrium. See, Hardy-Weinberg principle is applicable when the following conditions are met. One is it should be large population. Second, it must be random mating. Third, it should no mutation or recombination should occur. And fourth one, no deletion of base pair, which you learned in molecular basis of inheritance chapter. And no overlap of gene generation, or generation shouldn't overlap. And no gene flow, that is population emigration and immigration. There shouldn't be any gene flow. And the 5 factors which affect Hardy-Weinberg principle. These are the 5 factors which are applicable to Hardy-Weinberg principle. 5 main. And these are the ones which affect. That is, A is gene migration or gene flow, and B is genetic drift, and C is mutation, and D is genetic recombination, and E is natural selection. See, when all these conditions come, Hardy-Weinberg principle is affected. So what happens when Hardy-Weinberg principle is affected? So when it deviates from P plus Q the whole square, that is Hardy-Weinberg principle is not followed, then mutation occurs. And when mutation occurs, it results in evolution. Consider the population A and population B. All are tall, and when all the tall genes go to this population which is dwarfed, it gains tall population. So even tall kind of population occurs over there, but here all the tall is lost. Let us see another example. See, first of all, if gene migration occurs multiple times, it results in gene flow, and if gene migration occurs by chance, it's called genetic drift. Another example is consider population A and population B. In population A, there are mix of individuals. One is normal diseased, normal diseased, and population B is completely empty. But if all the disease population migrate to population B, now a new area is formed where all the individuals are diseased. So if D diseased population has moved to area B, new area B is formed which is diseased. Now D is diseased, which is now D diseased population is called founders, and the effect is known as founders effect. Now let us study this graph. See, this is the graph of, consider the short-tailed rat, long-tailed rat, and medium-tailed rat in population. Of course, the medium-tailed rat are preferred the most. So the graph goes like this and like this. Number of individuals with phenotype. And what happens when no competition for this medium-tailed? What happens? This peak gets higher and narrower. It gets higher and narrower because the short-tailed and long-tailed individuals are not preferred, and it medium-tailed are preferred, so it gets longer and the peak gets narrower. And this graph is called known as a stabilizing graph, gets stable. And what happens in directional graph? See, example, only the small-tailed rats are replaced by long-tail. What happens? Due to some reason, the tall or small-tailed are preferred more. The peak shifts in one direction, and it is called directional graph. And it's a evolutionary change. It occurs because of evolution. And third one is disruptive graph. See, think that the short-tailed individuals, because of some reason, are able to avoid predators on ground, and the long-tailed individuals hang on the tree to escape predators. So the short-tailed predators are the ones which are caught always. So two peaks are formed. This goes higher and this goes higher, and the medium one falls. This is called disruptive graph. Now the last topic is brief account of evolution. Let us study a brief note on evolution. Among 2000 million years ago, first cellular life was formed. And 500 million years ago, invertebrates came. And 330 million years ago, jawless fish were formed. And 320 million years ago, seaweeds, plants were formed. And fishes with snout and strong fins moved to land and later go back to water. That is 350 million years ago. In 1938, coelacanth was formed. What is coelacanth? Coelacanth were caught in South Africa. Coelacanths were thought to be extinct because they are called low films, which evolved into first amphibians that lived both on land and water. And they were thought to be extinct, and it was caught in 1938 in South Africa, and they know that coelacanths still exist. And amphibians evolved into reptiles. Giant ferns, example pteridophyte, formed coals, became coals. And some land reptiles went back to water to evolve into fish-like reptiles. Some land reptiles, they went back to water because they wanted to evolve into fish-like reptiles. Example, Ichthyosaurus, that is 200 million years ago. And Tyrannosaurus rex is 20 feet high. And in 65 million years ago, dinosaurs disappeared. There might be two reasons because of which dinosaurs disappeared. One is because of climatic changes, and second because of evolution. So the first mammals which were formed were shrews, known as shrews. So we need to know about some kind of era and all the kind of periods which existed on Earth. First of all, it's Quaternary period. Let's come from down to top. The first period was Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Cambrian, Permian, Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, Tertiary, and Quaternary. The oldest one is Quaternary and the youngest one is Cambrian. And these are collectively called Cenozoic, and these three are collectively called Mesozoic, and all of these are collectively called Paleozoic. Now the mnemonic which you need to know is: camels often sit down carefully, perhaps their joints crack. It is a tough question. See, camels often sit down carefully. You know why? Because their joints often crack. And what is the reason? We don't know, because it's a tough question. And that's the mnemonic for this. Camels often sit down, perhaps their joints crack, which is a tough question. The same continuation of the same topic is origin and evolution of man. See, first of all, if you need to know all the kind of relatives of man due to which man evolved, one is Parapithecus, Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, Australopithecus, Homo Habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalis, Homo sapiens. Last, Homo sapiens fossilis, and after that, Homo sapiens sapiens were formed. What you need to do is that you need to remember this mnemonic. Please do remember, apple has essential nutrients for humans. Please, Parapithecus 2, Dryopithecus, remember Ramapithecus, apple, Australopithecus has Homo habilis, essential, Homo erectus, nutrients, Homo neanderthalis, and for Homo sapiens fossilis and humans, Homo sapiens. See, first of all, let's learn about the features of all these kind of beings. One is Parapithecus, who look like monkey and ape, and they have Oligocene. Simple, it's just like a kind of primitive monkey. And Dryopithecus looks completely like a monkey man, and it is more ape-like. Whereas Ramapithecus is more of man-like. Yeah, Parapithecus is more man-like and Dryopithecus is more ape-like. That is the difference between Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus. And first fossils were discovered in Ethiopia and Tanzania of Dryopithecus. Ramapithecus 15 million years ago. And what is Australopithecus? Australopithecus 2 million years ago. Pliocene, Lucy, that is a stone weapon. They created Lucy, the stone weapon, and ate fruits. They taught their baby. They learned how to teach their baby. Found in East African grasslands. Now Homo habilis. Homo habilis are known as handyman and are good tool makers. Homo, which means first human. First human-like being is Homo. And 650 to 800 cc were the brain capacity, and did not eat meat. See, Homo erectus is the most important because Homo habilis might be the first human being, but Homo erectus were the only beings. No, Homo habilis weren't the first human being, but were similar to humans, first human-like being. But Homo erectus were the only beings who are exact ancestors of humans. Neither is Homo neanderthalis or Homo fossilis sapiens, which evolved later, are completely human-like. human-like ancestor. But Homo erectus have almost same DNA like man. They are complete ancestor of man, not Homo neanderthalis or Homo fossilis, which evolved later. Okay, Homo erectus 1.5 million years ago are called Java man, because fossils are discovered in Java in 1981. They are the first beings which ate meat. 900 cc brain capacity, Peking man or Heidelberg man. Now let us come to Homo neanderthalis. Homo neanderthalis are special because they were the first civilized man, used to hide to protect their bodies and buried the dead. East and Central Africa. The clothes which they used were animal hide. I feel the largest brain capacity of Homo sapiens. The second largest brain capacity is of Homo neanderthalis, 1450 cc. They used to live in cave and hunt, and are called hut dwellers, and use burial customs. Homo sapiens, also called Cro-Magnon man, have the highest brain capacity, 1500 to 1600 cc. Used to paint in rock, used to make ornaments. The first fossils were discovered in Bhimbetka rock shelter in Raisin district of Madhya Pradesh. And the last, as you know, is Homo sapiens sapiens. See, chapter comes to an end, but there are some kind of important note which you need to know. One is Parapithecus. Parapithecus is the connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. The concept of population trends to increase geometrically while food supply increases arithmetically was given by Thomas Malthus. And direct ancestor of Homo sapien, as I told, is Homo erectus. Thank you for watching. As I always tell, you need to solve questions like this, because solving questions only clears your concepts, which will make you more than perfect in the theory part. And you won't be having any part left, and your chart as perfect as a needle. You also need to solve section B, which are better kind of questions. These are the answers to the questions of evolution. Happy learning. Okay guys, if you like my video, do hit the bell icon and subscribe button so that you will be notified with all upcoming videos, which is fully free, and enjoy unlimited lectures. Thank you.